What makes you a solopreneur rather than an entrepreneur? Well, while the term is fairly subjective, a generally accepted answer is that the solopreneur is someone who runs the kind of operation that would normally require a much larger team. A solopreneur may therefore be responsible for providing a service, producing a product, or otherwise creating value, but at the same time also promoting their business, dealing with customers and clients, and managing the balance sheet. This is a lot of hard work, and it's something that can lead to burnout for a great many people. But here's the thing. Being a control freak who does everything themselves is actually one of the best business decisions you can make. Didn't expect to hear that? It's not a popular view, but it's one that's extremely true. And it's the secret that sets apart many of the most successful creators. In this presentation, we'll learn why that is and how to be a solopreneur without going mad. Can smart drugs and nootropics help you to work harder and longer? Smart drugs, also known as nootropics, are supplements, medications, and even nutrients that can provide some kind of cognitive benefit. While it might sound like science fiction, it is now thought that a huge number of Silicon Valley executives rely on nootropics every day in order to perform their very best. So is this the secret that you've been missing out on? Is this all you need to tap into your true, limitless brain? Or is it a one-way trip to chemical imbalance? Let's find out. First, it's worth mentioning that there are a lot of different kinds of nootropic, and they vary drastically in terms of their potency and mechanism of action, meaning the way they work. For example, caffeine can be considered to be a nootropic in some ways, but it's hardly going to change your life. Many nootropics fall into a similar category. L-theanine is a popular supplement for reducing anxiety, especially from caffeine, while also providing calm energy. This comes from green tea and carries no known side effects. Likewise, nutrients like vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, omega-3, and more can all provide significant cognitive benefits. The old saying that you are what you eat very much holds true, but this isn't just true for your body. Your brain relies on the nutrients you provide it with in order to create important neurochemicals, to repair damaged neurons, and to provide energy for countless activities. For that reason, it is absolutely crucial that you eat a balanced, varied, and nutritious diet if you want your brain to perform optimally. Okay, so what about the groundbreaking stuff? What about the stuff that those CEOs are taking? Well, this is a little more potent and tends to include medications that are typically prescribed for other things. These come with a variety of side effects, but also offer much more profound changes in brain function. One of the most interesting of these is modafinil. Modafinil is prescribed predominantly for narcolepsy and is a wakefulness agent. This works slightly differently from stimulants like caffeine or fellow nootropic Adderall. That means you shouldn't experience jitters, but should rather simply feel more awake and more focused. Top performers like modafinil because it allows them to work longer hours without burning out. But they also like it because it makes them more focused, more awake, and even better at creative problem solving. So, is it perfect? Sadly not. For starters, there are a few mild side effects. These include appetite suppression, more frequent bowel movements, headaches, and poor sleep. Those effects can be explained by the way that modafinil works, by interacting with orexins, chemicals that regulate our sleep cycle. Turns out our sleep cycles are strongly linked to our appetite, bowel movements, and other cycles too. Modafinil can also cause mild headaches for some people and anxiety. Modafinil isn't thought to be addictive or harmful in any serious way, but keep in mind that there are very few long-term studies. So what should you take from all this? Well, that's really up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life, but rather to give you the facts so you can make your own decisions. But consider this. While CEOs might be able to get an edge on the competition by using drugs, there are many other ways to optimize yourself for better performance. Better sleep, the right nutrition, and even exercise can all help you to perform better both physically and mentally. And this has far longer-term benefits than any pill you can pop. Digital minimalism, a crucial strategy for the solopreneur. Working as a solopreneur, it becomes extremely important to consider factors that can impact your productivity. That means things like your immediate environment and how you are optimizing your health and focus. What you need to do as well, though, is think about the psychological aspect of your work and the way you're mentally separating that from your daily life. This is where so many people who work from home go wrong. We start out with the best of intentions, set working hours, a separate work phone, but the temptation to work late one night or to work on a Sunday will always rear its head once we start getting behind. Problem is, this is habit forming and it creates a bad pattern. This is especially true if you work late on a weekday, as you'll then have less energy to work again on the next weekday, and that in turn will mean you're tired and lethargic and unproductive, meaning there's a good chance you'll be tempted to work late again. As we'll see later, sleep should be considered sacred if you work from home, and for everyone for that matter. What you need to do then is to set yourself strict specific parameters for working and to not work outside of those. This means that you have to start working at a very specific time and end at a very specific time. And if you run over and work looks like it's going to be late, then you have to just accept that it's late. It's not worth ruining your life to keep a client happy. Remember, the whole reason we're working this way in the first place is to live the lifestyle we want. But it's what you do outside of that time that is really going to make a big difference to your mental health, your productivity, and your ability to focus. That's because working online comes with a very particular challenge: unplugging. The problem is that even if you are mentally disciplined enough to stop working at a given time, you're still going to face the challenge of getting the privacy you need. Because when you work online, your clients, your customers, and your creative pursuits can always reach you. In other words, as long as you have a phone in your pocket, you are at risk of receiving an email about your work that will cause you stress and arousal and prevent you from properly relaxing. And here's the other thing. Even if the message isn't from your client, simply thinking that it might be will be enough in many cases to make you stressed and prevent you from fully relaxing. Even simply looking at your phone can cause a slight increase in arousal, seeing as the blue light from your phone triggers the release of stress hormone cortisol. If you've just spent the last 8 hours staring at a screen, this is a problem. When is your break? Digital minimalism is a movement toward unplugging and switching off. The aim is to remove any unnecessary technological distractions and to scale back your interaction with technology as far as possible. This is a perfect complement to the solopreneur lifestyle for all the reasons that we've just discussed. How do you get started? Here are just a few things you can do right now to scale back your reliance on technology. Have a separate phone for work. Change your home phone's display to monochrome. This has been shown to reduce addictive phone checking behavior. Turn off notifications. Create strict hours during which you look at no screens, especially your phone. This should definitely include 30 to 90 minutes before you go to sleep. Sleep with your phone and other tech in a different room. Take up non-tech hobbies. Take vacations away from all technology. You can find plenty more advice online. Oh, the irony. Take a look and see if digital minimalism is right for you. Closing open loops and how to stop thinking about work. A term that every entrepreneur, solopreneur, and wantrepreneur should know about is the Zeigarnik effect. However, I highly suspect that you don't know this term and that you probably have never heard of it before. That's a shame, seeing as understanding this concept is what can help you to gain a better separation between work and relaxation, while also being more focused and more productive. So what is the Zeigarnik effect? Essentially, the Zeigarnik effect is an effect that explains why we sometimes find it hard to let something go. If you have heard of the Zeigarnik effect, it's probably because you've heard the story of how it was first discovered by psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik. Zeigarnik was, the story goes, enjoying dinner at a restaurant with her friends. She was amazed to find that the waitress serving their table was able to remember all of their names, as well as all of their orders, without needing to write anything down. But what was strangest to Zeigarnik of all was that when she returned to the restaurant to retrieve her forgotten purse, the waitress didn't even recognize her. How could she remember so much detail about her and her party, only to then forget everything again? Thus, she went about describing what we now know as the Zeigarnik effect. Essentially, when the brain is working on something actively, it keeps all of the information and ideas relating to that subject to hand. Not only that, but it also becomes much more tuned in to that frequency. You are more likely to spot things relating to the subject you're considering, and you're more likely to overhear people talking about that subject. This is something referred to as an open loop. Once you consider that task completed, though, the loop closes. So what does all this have to do with you as a solopreneur? Well, as a solopreneur, you are going to be juggling a lot of disparate tasks all at once. Chances are that some of these tasks will stay open when you switch off the computer and go downstairs to be with your family. But have you switched off in your mind? If there are ideas and thoughts relating to work still lingering in your mind, then you may find that the answer is no. You may find it is very difficult to focus on downtime with family or whatever else it is you choose to do because your brain is still churning over and working out the problems you were struggling with during the day. This is why many of us find it so hard to switch off from work when our day is over, and it's the reason that many of us end up stressed and burned out as a result. The simple solution? Find a way to symbolically put a pin in whatever it is that you're doing. That could mean writing things down so that they're off your mind, or it could mean finding a way to complete the project. You'll find that there are actually a whole lot of smaller projects that will vie for your attention at any given time. Perhaps you have emails you need to answer or phone calls you need to make. These small tasks can end up stealing your mental bandwidth simply by remaining in an open state. So if anything is very quick to finish, you should aim to finish it right away. Consider subscribing to the 1-minute rule. That is to say that any job that takes less than 1 minute to complete should be completed immediately upon receiving it. Doing it all yourself versus outsourcing. Finding the perfect balance. What makes you a solopreneur rather than an entrepreneur? Well, while the term is fairly subjective, a generally accepted answer is that the solopreneur is someone who runs the kind of operation that would normally require a much larger team. A solopreneur may therefore be responsible for providing a service, producing a product, or otherwise creating value, but at the same time also promoting their business, dealing with customers and clients, and managing the balance sheet. This is a lot of hard work, and it's something that can lead to burnout for a great many people. But here's the thing. Being a control freak who does everything themselves is actually one of the best business decisions you can make. Didn't expect to hear that? It's not a popular view, but it's one that's extremely true. And it's the secret that sets apart many of the most successful creators. In this presentation, we'll learn why that is and how to be a solopreneur without going mad. Why the solopreneur comes out on top. Have you ever thought of hiring a writer to provide content for your website? It sounds like a good idea on the face of it. If the articles earn more money than they cost, from adverts, sales, or anything else, then adding more posts should be a great way to scale your business and earn more money. Pay someone to make lots of articles, then wait for the sweet Google hits. It sounds good on paper, But here's the thing. Getting lots of hits on Google is not how you make the big money online. How do you make the big money online? You create a following. You build a loyal fan base. You build something that is unique and exciting, something that provides real value, and something that no one else can offer. There are thousands of fitness websites out there, but there are only a few that are able to sell courses for hundreds of dollars and have people queuing up to get them. Guess what? Those successful sites aren't the ones that post generic content about getting abs by cutting calories. They're the ones exposing new and unique ways to train, to push human performance, or to express the human body. If you hire a writer, you won't get that. Why? Because unless the writer is an expert in health and fitness, they will have no option but to rehash content they find elsewhere online. That means the content will be generic and derivative by definition. Even if they do know about fitness, they're unlikely to share their groundbreaking theories or revelations with you for a small fee. They'll save that for their own website. The same goes for designing a website, for creating merchandise, or for making graphics. You need to have a distinct visual style that will set your content apart and make you instantly recognizable. This should sell the emotions that you want people to feel when they interact with your brand. The only way to accomplish this is to create things yourself. That way, you are bringing to life the vision of one person. This also works for a small team, and that passion will come across to the users. The fine line. So, does that mean you can never outsource? Of course not. It means that you never outsource things that A, you can do yourself, and B, that provide the core value of what you're offering. Outsourcing menial tasks like outreach, link building, etc. is acceptable. Likewise, you can even outsource aspects of your life outside of your business. How about using a VAS to book your next holiday? But if it is integral to the style, message, and value of your brand, do it yourself. That is your advantage as a solopreneur. How a change of scene can provide a cognitive refresh. One of the biggest challenges for anyone who works online is managing to stay productive and efficient without the external pressure of a boss breathing down their neck. This is combined with the negative influence of having all your favorite things surrounding you at any given time. Then there's the fact that you're probably going to be interrupted repeatedly by friends and family. Or how about the challenge of switching off from work once you've finished, given that you actually work and live in the same environment? If any of these things sound familiar, then stay tuned. We're going to discuss one of the most effective solutions and one of the best ways to upgrade your productivity working online. Working from home doesn't have to mean working from home. Working from home actually means working not in the office. This in turn means you can be productive anywhere and actually enhance your focus and creativity. Just taking a laptop out with you and working in local coffee shops or libraries. This has a lot of advantages as compared with working from an office in your own home. For starters, when you work in a coffee shop, you get to leave the house. This is important because it psychologically separates your work life from your home life and makes it that little bit easier for you to switch off when you get home. At the same time, it also means you'll be taking some steps. Remember, it is recommended that we take at least 10,000 steps a day, and failing to do so is bad for your heart, leading to a shorter life and causes obesity and back problems. Another benefit is that this way you also get to meet people. Again, this is quite an important point because spending all your time at home on your own can leave you feeling restless. By heading out to a coffee shop, on the other hand, you will get to at least be around other people who are working, and you'll get to interact with the baristas who work there. If you want to go one step further, you can also look into a shared workspace. There are lots of these kinds of initiatives around these days, and especially in larger towns. Not only do these then offer you the chance to get out of the house, but you'll also get to spend time with people who are there doing something similar to you. This creates networking opportunities and furthermore means the working environment will be entirely geared towards the kind of work you're doing. That means you'll get good Wi-Fi and peace and quiet is standard. Some shared workspaces even give you your own landline and P.O. box. There are other options for where you want to work too. For instance, you could always head to a quiet pub or even a bar, or you could sit outside when the weather is nice. Sitting outside is of course great from a health perspective, but unfortunately it's somewhat lacking in terms of practicality and convenience. To do this well, you'll need to contend with glare on the screen, the lack of somewhere to sit and prop your laptop, bugs, dirt, grass, and no power or Wi-Fi. Still though, perhaps there's somewhere near you that accounts for all this. Maybe you have a bar with some outside seating that's quiet during the day and faces the beach. The world is your oyster when you work from home. Imagine what it might feel like to be kicking back in a comfortable hammock, watching the waves roll or looking at a local landmark, sipping delicious coffee and feeling stimulated by your environment instead of stifled. Meanwhile, all your friends and family are stuck in stifled offices. The kicker? You'll do your very best work this way. What many people don't realize is just how profoundly our environment can affect our state of mind and thus enhance focus, creativity, and motivation. A change is as good as a break. Get out there and mix it up. When it comes to unwelcome guests at the dinner table, few are as unpleasant as work. Bringing home work with you doesn't just affect you, but rather your entire family. Your children won't have the full attention of their mom or dad, and you'll be far more likely to make silly mistakes or to stomp around the house in a bad mood. The irony? When you don't know how to switch off from work, it actually makes you less productive in the long run. That's because the brain needs a balance between go time and rest time. This is due to the way our nervous system operates. If you are constantly on, then this will eventually mean that you are running half-mast. In this presentation, we'll discover how to completely switch off from work so that you can enjoy time doing things other than work. The golden rule: no checking. If you do that though, then you'll find yourself forever popping back to the computer to tweak things and make notes. Be strict with yourself. Once you switch off, it stays off until the next day. Turn off your work phone and don't check your email. Nope, not even once. 1 is the first number in a sequence. You need to switch off, unless you're happy to work into the evening and like to multitask. More to the point, while it might only take you a second or two to look at your phone, the emotional impact of that email can linger for much longer. If you learn something stressful you're going to need to deal with the next day, it can be hard to focus on your work until then. There's another reason that you need to be strict with the not even one rule too. That's because it takes practice. In order to truly switch off from work, you need to learn to not think about it until the next day. This isn't easy to do. The only way to get better at it is to practice. If you don't let yourself go a single evening without checking your email, then you will never get better. Use external tools. The goal is to try not to worry about things, and though that's easier said than done, making a to-do list and some notes at the end of the day can help you relax. It's easy to let go, knowing it'll be there to remind you in the morning. You can think about this like an external storage for things that are on your mind, like locking them away in a huge trunk and not looking at them until later. In fact, you can even use a fancy term for this: exocortex. Meditate. Another tip is to try meditation. This is a powerful exercise that involves focusing the mind or clearing it of distracting thoughts. Both these processes actually teach you to become better at emptying your mind and focusing on the things that you want to focus on. Meditation provides you with a powerful skill that will give you the laser precision you need in order to switch from one task to another to completely relaxing and emptying the mind. You'll become an entrepreneurial ninja, and this is ultimately what you need to become if you're going to maximize your effectiveness at work. Distract yourself. Finally, try to fill your evenings with interesting things to do that will distract you from the work that you've just done. Sitting in front of the television watching junk shows is neither recharging the brain, it actually puts us in an aroused fight or flight state, nor partially engaging or beneficial. How to get into a flow state for ultimate productivity. A flow state is an almost mythic state of superhuman performance and focus. In a flow state, people are said to perform their very best work, to see creative insights that would otherwise be lost to them, to focus for hours on end, and even to enjoy a feeling of euphoria. But this is no myth. The flow state is a very real psychological phenomenon that has been written about by countless psychologists and neuroscientists. And it is something that anyone can tap into if they want to get more work done and produce a higher standard of output. Here's how you can tap into the flow state as a solopreneur. Learning to flow. There are countless tips out there for getting into flow states, which include such things as filling your room with stimulating materials, using the precise cocktails of caffeine and I-theanine, etc. In truth, though, there is nothing truly magical about the flow state. The flow state simply occurs when all other brain chatter falls away. This is something that anyone can achieve, but the rub is that it takes time. Nobody can sit down and find themselves in an immediate state of perfect focus, so instead, you need to force yourself for those first 40 minutes. Too many people feel distracted during the first 30 minutes that they attempt to work, and then stop because they assume it's going to feel that way, or they think it won't hurt to take a 2-minute break. In truth, though, if you push through the initial resistance by forcing yourself to only focus on the matter at hand, your brain will eventually get the hint. And this is something that then starts to come more quickly and easily with time. So consider this a skill to develop, rather than a magical state to somehow stumble upon. Finding the right type of work. With that said, the right type of work will make it much easier to get into a flow state. For example, video editing and coding are much easier to get stuck into because they involve an instant feedback loop. This provides a kind of dopamine hit that makes it easier to focus. You can achieve this with other types of work by finding ways to create landmarks and rewards for the work you're doing, or by making it more visually pleasing. Most important of all, though, find ways to make the work rewarding and engaging in its own right. Find ways to make it inherently rewarding. Ideally, this means working on things that you find exciting and that you have a true passion for. Thankfully, this is easier for the solopreneur who gets to design their own business model than it is for anyone else. But sometimes there will still be work that you need to do that is going to be less than thrilling. Your job then is to find ways to make it more thrilling. For example, if you're tasked with writing 5,000 words on a topic that you don't find interesting, you can make it easier to stay focused by finding an angle on that subject that you do find interesting. Is there a way that you can relate to what you're writing? Is there a way to tie it into another topic that you find more exciting? Likewise, use an interesting font. Strange though it may sound, can also make a big difference. Now make sure to watch the word count carefully so that you can see your own progress, and find small ways to reward yourself as you reach certain points. How to navigate the highs and lows as a solopreneur. Tim Ferriss claims that bipolar depression is extremely common among entrepreneurs and the self-employed. Why? Because being self-employed is a darn emotional roller coaster. The highs are extremely high. Imagine waking up one morning to find that your website was shared on a big news site and has gained almost 1 million hits. You've earned thousands of dollars overnight from ad revenue and sales, and you can see clear skies ahead. Imagine being asked to give an interview with a prominent media outlet to talk about your success. Imagine watching sales from your new mobile app tick upwards every minute. But then there are the lows. How about waking up to find that years of hard work has gone down the toilet because Google has de-indexed your website? What about being sued by someone because your advice caused them to lose money? Think being shouted at by your boss is stressful? How about being shouted at by 10 angry clients or 300 angry customers who just downloaded your app? And here's the difference between working for someone versus working for yourself. When you work for someone else and you have an unproductive day, you still get paid. When you work for yourself and you have an unproductive day, you get nothing. Have a bad month? You still get nothing. That's another thing. Working for yourself is highly volatile and unpredictable, and that's why some people refer to bipolar depression as the entrepreneur's disease. And on the flip side of this, your clients won't respect that your home time is your home time. They'll think nothing of emailing you at 5 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday to tell you the work you handed in 3 days ago was rubbish. And you'll have the same problem. You'll always be tempted to finish a little early on a Friday or to work a little late on a Wednesday. Goodbye body clock. Goodbye healthy sleep. Goodbye good quality work. Working from home gives you freedom, and that freedom can give you the option to become incredibly healthy, happy, and effective. At the same time, though, freedom also comes with responsibility. Fail to manage that time well, and it can all go wrong. So how do you navigate the highs and lows? How do you stay emotionally hardy and resilient? How do you maintain the strength of character to weather the storms? Because here's the thing, sunshine. Your ability to stay strong during these tough times is what will define you as a successful entrepreneur. That character trait is the predominant difference between highly successful business owners and those that sink under the weight of responsibility. First, you practice developing mental toughness. This is actually a key feature of military training, especially in elite units like the SAS. You can learn the techniques they use, but also practice getting outside of your comfort zone. Taking up CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is a very good idea. This is a practice that teaches you to distance yourself from stressful thoughts by changing the way you think about them. This can be transformative when it comes to dealing with difficult situations, especially when combined with meditation, which teaches you to keep your mind focused. Use cognitive stimulation. This means rehearsing scenarios in your mind in order to prepare for them, and in order to prepare contingency plans. If you do this properly, then no turn of events should come as a complete surprise to you, and you should be ready for any eventuality. Follow these tips and you'll find it's possible to stay sane even as things don't seem to be going well around you. Who else will hold everything together if you go to pieces too? How to use to-do lists and other external tools to remove mental baggage. Being a solopreneur means juggling a lot of balls and being fully responsible for an entire business. Even with a good balance of clients and no unreal expectations, you'll still likely find that things can get out of hand and you can find yourself stressed. When your client messages you at 8 p.m. on a Friday night saying that the work you did for them isn't very good, how can you possibly ignore it? Likewise, when it turns out the software update you released to your customers had a major bug in it on Friday night, again, what can you do? There are a few different systems and tools you can put in place that can help you in any of these situations. In this presentation, we're going to look at some of the most powerful. Autoresponders. The first and most straightforward tool or system to use is your email's autoresponder capability. This allows you to send an automated email to your clients, customers, and business partners whenever they message you after 6 p.m. or on a weekend, and this can say something like this. Thank you for your message. I'm afraid I will be out of the office until tomorrow at 9 a.m. and will be unable to respond until then. If you have a real emergency, then you can contact me on my home phone number at 000000000. But please don't call if it can wait until tomorrow. My working hours are between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. This email is perfect because it tells your clients or customers why you haven't gotten back to them and gives them a means to get in touch if they really are in a dire situation. You should find, though, that very few people will actually abuse your home number, so you can be safe in the knowledge that you'll be undisturbed. That said, you can also stop imagining worst-case scenarios. Virtual assistants. A virtual assistant is someone who can handle all types of work on your behalf as long as they don't need to be physically present. Usually, these companies or individuals are based in India or in other countries with lower costs of living, so you'll likely only pay a few dollars for a day's work. Of course, you get what you pay for to an extent, so don't expect amazing quality English unless you are willing to pay top dollar. Either way, though, these companies provide work that can include booking appointments, responding to emails, doing research, handling marketing and SEO, proofreading, data entry, and much more. You can use a digital assistant then to outsource the boring but time-consuming aspects of your job while you focus instead on doing what it is that you do so well. They can also stand in for you sometimes on the weekend. Similarly, it never hurts to know a couple of people who can help you out in a crisis. If you have a friend who works online, you can make a pact with them to bail each other out occasionally if you have too much work. You might even be able to offer some aspects of your work to friends interested in making a little extra money on the side. To-do lists. Sometimes the simplest tools are the very best. A to-do list is powerful because it helps to organize your day and ensures you don't miss any important tasks. But it actually goes way beyond that. For one, having a to-do list means that you can forget about the things that you have written down. Once they're on paper, there's no risk of them falling through the cracks, so you don't need to worry about them. Better yet is to use an app of some sort that will actively remind you. A perfect example is the app Todoist, and if you combine this with an Apple Watch, you can even get your reminders right on your wrist. Let your wrist worry about it, so you don't have to. How to work productively on a sleep deficit. When you don't have enough sleep, your body goes into a kind of shocked state. It knows something is wrong and that something that it needs is lacking. As such, it will try to encourage you to get back to bed as soon as you can, and it achieves this by putting you into fight or flight. This is why one of the worst things you can do is to stress about not having enough sleep. You're just piling stress on top of stress. But in order to achieve homeostasis, the calm neutral state that the body enters when everything is fine, you need to make sure that you are well rested. And this is important because stress is incredibly bad for your health and productivity. Chronic stress redirects blood and energy away from our digestive systems and our immune systems. It also raises our heart rates and thickens our blood, making us more likely to have a heart attack or stroke even. And this can even damage your creativity. That's because you are most creative when we are relaxed, and the brain is thereby able to consider lots of different ideas and facts. When we are stressed, we go into a state of tunnel vision and can often only focus on one thing at a time. This can lead to us banging our head against the wall, trying the same solution to a problem over and over again. But what if you don't have any option? What if you're a new parent or you're jet-lagged? How do you get productive even then? Reduce cortisol. The first aim should be to reduce stress. We do this initially by doing anything we can to lower stress hormones like cortisol. First, stop stressing about how little sleep you got. This creates a vicious cycle that ends with you in an exhausted heap. Next, restore your blood sugar. This also contributes to stress, but you can fix it by consuming slow-release complex carbohydrates. A good example is oatmeal. You can also try supplements. Phosphatidylserine is a fantastic supplement that naturally raises serotonin while lowering cortisol. 2 more tips. If you have the option to nap, take it. This can help to undo some of the damage caused by missing sleep. And finally, try to focus on tasks that don't require creativity or problem solving. Instead, aim for zombie tasks, like answering emails.